Welcome everyone to the third episode of the GenAI CIO podcast. This is Rishabh, founder and CBO for GoML, joined in by Shiva, founder and CEO for Lizer. Uh, we are back with another update on the GenAI world, right? Which again is surprised by what Google threw at us this week after announcing that Gemini will be delayed to next year, but they brought it to the world this year. So we are going to discuss that in the in our podcast today as a major update. But before we get into the podcast, I wanted to start the podcast with a good announcement. Sam Altman has been named as the CEO of the year by the Times Magazine, right? Which is good news for all of us because, as all of us know, Sam Altman brought Chat GPT, and OpenAI to what we see of today, kickstarted the revolution that we have on generative AI today. So happy to see the announcement from Time, right? Shiva, any comments from your side before we get into the updates?
No, I think it's a. I mean, the award is right. I think he deserves. He brought generative AI to the world, made it available for every man, common man around. I started coding again this year, and I would say all the credit goes to GPT because the moment GPT APIs were available, I mean, I couldn't obviously stop myself from trying to build something on my own, and GPT just made it super easy for me to learn coding again and start building. I didn't have to go through Stack Overflow anymore, and that was fantastic. So yeah, I think he deserves. And also another related note, Helen Toner, who's one of the board members who ousted, was primarily who played a major role in ousting Sam Altman, came out and said it wasn't the AI safety issue, it was more of a interpersonal issue with Sam that kind of they lost trust and kind of scenario. So yeah, I think all's good. I think OpenAI seems to be even more stronger. If Gemini has launched something which is super, I would say, if Google has launched Gemini, which is like kind of challenging GPT-4, I'm really excited to see what Sam and team launches, what they launch next year, probably GPT-5. So with that, yeah, let's get started with the Gemini news. It's all over the internet anyway.
Absolutely, as I mentioned, the world is very surprised, right? But happily surprised, right? We will obviously have access to these models to try out from December 13th. I think Google announced in a joint interview by Demis Hassabis, who's the CEO of DeepMind. DeepMind obviously has played a bigger role, or the majority of the role in build of this Gemini. We've been hearing news of Gemini since 2021. That Google is working on a large project that's going to come out. So finally, it's out. The video consisted of most of these leaders speaking about how Gemini will probably be supporting most of the products now. But one of the things that has been harped upon heavily in the launch video is that it's a multimodal model, but it's a pure play generative multimodal model from the
Na-
grounds up, right?
Native. So it's natively, that's the huge thing, right? So there is no, for example, if you look at GPT, why it is not native is GPT is natively text based. So even if you have images or videos, they are converted into text and then vectorized, etc. All that's how it happens. But what they've done with Gemini is it's natively multimodal. For example, the AI search on videos is so true in nature. It doesn't have to go through a skip or a hop where it has to. For example, you don't need to transcribe the video and then do a search on it. The search is so native in nature, just directly working on the playing around on the vectors, and so that's why it's a big deal. Uh, I think when they launch the API, I think which is what 13th of December in about 5 days, when we start working with, playing around with the APIs, like many other developers, and builders, we will probably know how it is different from GPT-4 Vision. Um, uh, yeah, so that's why it's a big deal because it's natively multimodal.
Correct. But I think one thing that Google has probably mastered this time is again building the model for everyone, or that's what they are calling, right? So 13th of December, when we get access to Gemini Pro, right? So they are releasing it in three variations, right? So Ultra, which is considered to be one of the most advanced versions of Gemini.
which is
Then you've
what
got
I,
Pro.
which is what I think is benchmarked against GPT-4. Actually,
Exactly. I think they've used MMLU to benchmark, and we'll come to that in a couple of minutes, right, Shiva? But yeah, they've got Ultra, right, and then they've got Pro, right, which Gemini Pro is being rebranded, or probably Bard is being rebranded as Gemini Pro, is what we understand, which will be available from 13th of December, and then they've launched a model which is called Nano, which they're calling as Nano for edge devices, right? Which and this is where I've always highlighted. I think when we were discussing the YouTube option, also chat with YouTube option that Google is bringing in, is how they're leveraging their distribution channel for these models, right? And that's an advantage that Google has today, which is Nano is actually being released on Pixel 8 Pro, right, which is their latest version, for a couple of use cases, including auto summarization, smart reply with WhatsApp, and they're also planning to integrate this with Google Assistant, right? So that's how they're leveraging their distribution channel, right? Ultra will be available for public preview, as we are hearing, from 2024 onwards, right? But that's what they've released till now, right? And December
let
13th is when you get the Pro access.
yeah. So let's break it down for the audience here. So Google Ultra, which is their most capable model, is benchmarked against GPT-4, and the Google Pro, I mean, sorry, Gemini Pro is benchmarked against 3.5, and it apparently performs slightly better than 3.5 as per Google today. We will probably, once they release, I mean, we have a lot of folks who test it out, and we'll be able to figure out what's happening. Then Nano, like Rishabh, like you mentioned, it is going to be running primarily on edge devices. So today they are going to make it available with Pixel 8, I believe, right? And we'll come to that part later. Now, when it comes to the comparison, again, to the audience, there are multiple standards today that are used for comparing. So we have GSM 8K, which is something equivalent to a middle school math world problem, right? So I would talk. I mean, it's like algebra aspects come into picture. It's not your differential calculus level, but algebra equations come into picture. We've done this in our school. Left LHS is equal to RHS kind of scenarios. Then you have MMLU, which is what widely marketed even by Google's Gemini in the benchmarks, which is multidisciplinary multiple choice questions. This apparently Google Gemini outperforms even the human evaluation standards when it comes to five shot examples. That's where MMLU comes into picture. There is human eval, there is math, there are a few more benchmarks as well. But
Python code. Yeah.
yeah, by and large, at least as you could see in the screen, the results that they published, Gemini either meets GPT-4 or performs slightly better. Now there is a criticism which I would probably speak about in a while, but these results are pretty impressive, to be honest. If they are actually true, if it is not a marketing gimmick, if it's actually true, which we will all get to know in about a week's time, this is really fantastic because now the world knows that it is truly possible to challenge GPT-4. There is another model. This is a very dense model, by the way. It is not a sparse model. Gemini is a very dense model. There is another model in the world which can challenge GPT-4, which can do better than Anthropic. Until this came in, we always saw Anthropic to be the probably the second best model. But now probably, I mean, yeah, this might truly, well and truly compete with GPT-4 if these results are really, really true. Yeah.
Absolutely right. And for our audience, right, MMLU primarily, is test models across 57 such subjects, right, across close to 15,900 questions. And as per the initial reports, again, and again, all these are reports that we're seeing. We'll be able to establish only once we start using the models across all these 57 tasks or subjects, which are ranging from humanity to advanced science, social sciences. Even some tasks require you to probably think. Not These are not straightforward answers that you can reach by workflows. It has outperformed most of these models today, right? So again, waiting for 13th of December to try out at least the Pro model.
Yeah, and again, speaking about the Nano, what's really interesting is Google claims that Pixel 8 will be the first AI native smartphone. This is something that Sam Altman has been trying to do, as we kind of, as the report suggests, that he wanted to build an AI base, I would say AI native smartphone. Andre Karpathy speaks about the same, speaking about LLM as an OS. But here, if you see in Pixel 8, they are enabling summarizer automatically. Sorry, in an automated manner with the in the recorder that they have in phone. They are adding capabilities to video generation, etc. So yeah, it's a big deal because you can if it works on edge devices, it means that it can work on your laptop. Now Chromebook, imagine, can Chromebook be much more powerful and useful than they are today? Can this run in your Google Home devices that you have? So a lot more capabilities that might open up. We'll have to wait and see how Pixel 8 performs. Again, I really hope that this is not a marketing gimmick to sell more of Pixel 8s. Hopefully, it is what it is. So yeah, that's another exciting. The Nano is really exciting, to be honest.
And what again is more exciting is how Nano opens up the capabilities for Android developers to start leveraging Nano in their applications. And again, I'm going back to or harping back to my point of distribution channel, but it just opens up innovation to a lot of people. That will be really exciting to see. All right, enough of Gemini updates. We'll be back with
No,
additional.
I have one other point to cover. The criticism. We spoke about Gemini. All that is good, but there is a lot of criticism that is coming out. Number one is, but before that, kudos to Sergey Brin. I mean, he apparently was in the middle of all these things. He was coding. He was featured in that paper as well, Gemini AI technical paper. He was co-author, I believe, contributor, I believe. So yeah, man, I'm a guy who's like net worth is 100 plus billion plus. He has that fire and passion to still come and build and beat the competition. Actually, so that's like crazy.
And I
Yeah, that's
was going through this, news from or podcast from Wall Street Journal that relates back to July this year, and they've clearly highlighted that Sergey has been coming to office since last year, but he's very, very focused on Gemini, and they've clearly highlighted that he's been working on Gemini. He's not been interfering in the day-to-day affairs or the anything apart from Gemini within the company. That stands as his promise when he exited in 2019, right? But that and I was again just probably digressing a bit, Shiva, but I was going through this update from YC as well, where they've highlighted that having a tech founder is kind of now mandatory for you to come back to YC, right? So acts like what Sergey is doing probably backs that up, like the technical, and that's what he was doing in his previous role at Google as well, right? So
and
he's been a
hence.
big contributor to Gemini. I was going to this, X feed where he's actually listed as one of the top 8 contributors to the whole model. So
And
yeah, so very interesting and really impressed.
no. I mean, and hence it's the right time for everyone, literally, who's been on the edge, who's been on the other side, who's not been coding, to start coding. Uh, GPT and all these LLMs have opened up, have kind of democratized programming. On that note, I think by early next week, I'll be launching a course, a simple 1 hour course for everyone to any non-coder to go through the course. By end of the course, you'll be able to build a pretty smart chatbot, AI chatbot using GPT-4. The analogy is that, I mean, that at least the course is designed comparing, I would say, the learning with cooking a pasta dish. So it should be super easy. I'm going to test it with my mom and my wife to begin with, to see if they can code a chatbot, and if it is good, I'm going to release that next week. So yeah, I'm all in for literally everyone to start coding, start learning programming. It is not rocket science, actually, and that's what
Absolutely.
GPT have done, actually, right?
Absolutely.
But now, coming to the criticism part that we're speaking about, the criticism is, well, all this, there is the reason why you say that this could be a marketing gimmick is there are some news that are that's emerging. Number one, people who read through the analysis, they saw that the particular graph that we see here, where Google's Gemini claims to be 90% in MMLU, it is, they used 32 short chain of thought. COT stands for chain of thought. 32 chain of thought prompting technique, and they compare that with a 5 shot prompting technique on GPT-4. Now, there is a big question. Okay, it should be apples to apples. Why are you using a COT32 prompting technique, which is much more, which is for audience? You are just passing more examples, right? Like chain of thought is like chain of the plan. It's like a planner. So you have 32 lines of plan that you're passing. So obviously your model will perform better. And compare that with five shot. Five shot is just five examples. Give five examples to a pro to in through the prompt. So that is not apple to apple comparison. That is one criticism that has already come out. Number two is apparently there are reports that a lot of folks within Google believe that this is just false marketing and this is not Google's culture. They are breaking rules to try and just get back to the market faster, to ship a product faster, which is not ready yet. That is a second criticism. The third criticism, which I saw in this morning, was a Bloomberg article that some of the vision capabilities that they showcase in their website, Gemini website, are actually doctored. So there is a video where somebody draws a duck, and then you have an image of a duck, actually of a duck that's been kind of created, an art of duck created photograph, right? But it is apparently not. So somebody draws an image, but someone else actually wrote prompts to actually build that photograph. So it is doctored, is what a Bloomberg News article that kind of suggested the same. So we need to wait and see how much of this is true and untrue. So yeah, it has a lot of criticism. Next week, this time we will probably know better.
Earlier this week, Shiva, I was reading an article where Sundar Pichai himself had announced that there might be a delay that might happen to Gemini, and the sole reason that they were saying is that it was not responding well to multilingual prompts or inputs. But then probably just they dropped the ball, right? So
No,
might be any.
probably the team found out these neat tricks to show that they're better than GPT-4, and they convince the leadership team that, hey, you know what, we can go live public. So it could be any of it. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, what I'm saying is, while all this is fantastic, there is also a lot of criticism and nitpicking that is happening. My strong belief, my take. What is my take here? My take is, I think GPT-4 is still far better. I, irrespective of these results, I feel that GPT-4 is actually much better. And next week we will probably know exactly if these results. When more and more people come in and test, we will actually know what's happening really.
All right.
Next, Elon Musk. How can we not have him in our weekly news? So what's happening there?
Grok, obviously, everyone knows, was launched by Elon Musk or announced by Elon Musk in November. Apparently, they trained it for 2 months and they've launched it now for the premium users to try it out with a clear caveat that it's rebellious, it's outgoing. Don't even try. And I even read this on X website stating don't even try it if you don't like the rebellious nature of the bot. And initial few reviews that I was reading. Shiva, is that it's good at certain specialized tasks, and people were obviously
Yeah,
anything that comes out in this world today is compared to GPT that has become the standard, right? So while everyone is saying it's really good with certain very specialized tasks, it's still nowhere close to what the versatility and the coverage that GPT brings in. I honestly haven't tried it yet. I don't have a Premium X account yet, but that's what I've read in the initial reviews yet.
yeah. No, I've been
It's again.
testing already. In Twitter, people are posting the output. I can say this: Grok is not for everyone because it is it wants to be funny. It wants to pull your leg. It wants to be kind of a smart ass. So not everyone might like the style. There are praises that Grok actually is pretty smart in terms of pulling the right data. I think if I kind of look at all the feedback, even I haven't tried yet. I'm waiting for the access, but because they just started rolling out anyway. But if I see all the results that were shared, the one I would say the one real credit is the fact that it's real time. It is picking news super real time, and tweets seems to be a major source of news for Grok, which is a superpower that other platforms do not have. The way X.com can use tweets and build these news within Grok results are fantastic. So again, yeah, let's wait and see how this evolves. It's a funny alternate to GPT-4 and other platforms, but we'll have to wait and see how this whole thing evolves.
I think yes, one very good point, Shiva, you've rolled out is it has access to all the X data. Palm had access to all the YouTube, and that's what I was reading in one of the training videos that Palm was trained on, mostly the YouTube massive set of data that they have, right? Absolutely, I'm looking forward to using it.
But think
But
about it. But think about it, right? YouTube is still a video content. Like, see, we are recording this, and it'll take at least 24 to 48 hours for this video to hit YouTube. But tweets are like immediate, instant. So the access to real-time news is even faster for Grok compared to Bard or GPT. GPT doesn't even have a medium anyway. So that is a real power that Grok has. So let's see what happens. Yeah, and that's the most interesting part, to me.
most interesting, and plus Elon Musk is managing it, so I'm waiting for the news also, right? Shiva? Moving on, and again, I think this is becoming one update in each of our podcasts. Sarvam AI, which is a Bengaluru headquartered company, Indian company, which is just a 5 month old company, is just coming out of their stealth mode, and they've already raised up to close to 41 million in Series Seed and Series A round. While they still haven't spoken a lot about their offering or product, what they are at least targeting, and again, based on the research that I was able to get from their website, is they are aiming to build a ground or giving capabilities to their clients from their product for grounds up build of applications which will be powered by LLMs. So they're not focusing on building their own from the scratch LLM, but they're actually focusing on giving a product or an offering to their customers, which will help them build these applications on LLMs from grounds up. So more consumption based LLMs is what they're focusing on. They are
Look, yeah, looks like a target. I mean, a competition to Lizer AI in some ways. But yeah, excited to see this.
absolutely sure. Yeah. So I think a quick update. While Microsoft Copilot has, everyone is aware of what Microsoft Copilot is. It's kind of a personal assistant for all your work that can be done across the Microsoft 365 suite. But now they've gone public, right? While it was available, or GA, right? While it was available for everyone to access in private preview with limited access through partners who had access to this. It is now available across for everyone to start using, right? So again, I think it's another way for Microsoft to expand the whole adaptability piece. They are also planning to increase a couple of all the updates that they've actually brought in is that they're going to include multilingual support for this in 2024, including probably I think Mandarin is one language that they plan to include, Arabic, and so on and so forth, right? But again, a good update from adaptability perspective. Shiva, I've used Copilot to a certain extent. Very intrigued with the capability, especially what it can actually do with the PPTs that I built, right? So I think now this being G8, everyone has access to it.
Yeah, I think they have the distribution power, so they can get to more users, like what Windows did. Uh, I am still skeptical about the actual usability of the Copilot itself and the adoption. Yeah, let's wait and see what happens. Next one is Mistral. Very important for the enterprise community and the open source community because it is important and imperative for platforms like Llama and Mistral and all the other open source models continue to grow and get funding and continue to challenge the other models, the closed source or frontier models. So Mistral is raising about 450 million euros, and it's expected to hit 2 billion valuation, which means it's a 25% dilution almost. But this is still good news. A lot of money going into probably even more stronger models. Mistral now might probably look at getting into the
But
vision and
this,
the video
just on
side
a
as well.
side note, this
So yeah,
ascertains
another
that the VC market
interesting
and the
update.
acquisition market is picking up very well. In the last podcast, couple of podcasts that we've done till now, Shiva, we've covered at least one acquisition. Like we started with Reface getting acquired by Adobe for an undisclosed amount. Bharat GPT raising $4 million from Google, and it's coming from the biggies, right? Uh, Mistral is getting this money from Nvidia, right? So yeah, the whole market is abuzz. VC money is pouring in. They're actually looking for good investments and acquisitions. Companies as early as 5 months old. I just spoke about Sarvam, right? So yeah, so the whole market is abuzz back on track now. Very intriguing news from Meta. Again, good updates. They've earlier they had launched VoiceBox, which was more focused towards speech generation capabilities, editing, styling, and so on and so forth across 6 languages. They've now launched AudioBox, which is now capability for speech generation. Through prompts, and I was going to, again, it's not yet available to use, but I was going through some of these demos. I think biggest update that Audiobox has brought in is that you can overlay the language where probably you give a prompt, generate, synthesize some kind of speech, and then overlay that speech with another speech to probably create of two speech combinations. And it does that very brilliantly, at least in the demo I could see. So once it's available, we'll definitely try out and come back with some review. But the demos look very
No, I
promising.
think what Meta and Gemini are doing is they're pushing the frontier further in the audio and video space as well. So GPT-4 vision is fantastic, but this is a good competition. Scary though to see how where it gets to, but it's a good competition. The last one is an
Yes,
interesting
exactly.
one, which the
But
Alibaba.
just one update on Meta, sorry, Shiva. They've actually launched something called as Imagine with Meta AI, which is again, what the Dollies or the Stable Diffusions of the world were already doing. But I tried it out myself. Obviously, I had to use a VPN because it's not available in India yet. But it was really good with vector images, whereas I struggled a bit when I compared it to Dolly with the real images generation. So good update again. I like the way it generates vector images. But yeah, let's move to the Alibaba
Lost
update.
Alibaba, it's a fun thing. I mean, you just upload a video and there's a line, skeleton art or dance, and the skeleton dance gets uploaded on your, I would say, image, and the whole image plays. So it's like what the TikTok videos dances used to happen. A very fun thing, and it works really well. I mean, this is an interesting thing to look at. I think many other companies will start picking on it. So the full-fledged AI movie production, I think a lot of AI movies will come out in 2024. To be honest, if these technologies continue to evolve. So yeah, I think with that we close this week's podcast episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, subscribe, share it with your friends and colleagues, and we'll come back with more enterprise related AI news next week again. Thanks for
Right.
listening.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.